happen to have this book on Ayn Rand. It's called For the New Intellectual, and I picked it up at Daryaganj, and I think it's quite a rare copy because I haven't heard of it. I haven't seen it anywhere. Not that I peruse bookstores anyway, but still. So you'd be like, why are you talking about Ayn Rand when you're talking about Panika, Tagore, and Gandhi? But there's a very specific reason why I wanted to bring Ayn Rand into the picture, because it's very connected to what I was talking about in my last video, specifically in the last part. So I'm reading from this part, which listen. So it's called The Moral Meaning of Capitalism. I'm just going to read it out, and then I'm going to talk about it over to the camera. So this is a statement made by Hank Rearden. So this is from Atlas Shrugged, which is one of her novels. At his trial for an illegal sale of a metal alloy which he has created and which has been placed under government rationing and control. So essentially she's giving background on this whole paragraph. Where is it coming from? Why is it being said? And what's the context? So hear this out. I do not want my attitude to be misunderstood. I shall be glad to state it for the record. I work for nothing but my own profit, which I make by selling a product they need to men who are willing and able to buy it. I do not produce it for their benefit at the expense of mine, and they do not buy it for my benefit at the expense of theirs. I do not sacrifice my interests to them, nor do they sacrifice theirs to me. We deal as equals by mutual consent to mutual advantage. Mutual advantage. And I am proud of every penny that I have earned in this manner. I am rich, and I am proud of every penny I own. I have made my money by my own effort, in free exchange and through voluntary consent of every man. And through the voluntary consent of every man I dealt with. The voluntary consent of those who employed me when I started. The voluntary consent of those who work for me now. The voluntary consent of those who buy my product. I shall answer all the questions you're afraid to ask me openly. Do I wish to pay my workers more than their services are worth to me? I do not. Do I wish to sell my product for less than my customers are willing to pay me? I do not. Do I wish to sell it at a loss or give it away? I do not. If this is evil, do whatever you please about me, according to whatever standards you hold. These are mine. I am entering my own living as every honest man must. I refuse to accept as guilt the fact of my own existence, and the fact that I must work in order to support it. I refuse to accept as guilt the fact that I am able to do it and to do it well. I refuse to accept as guilt the fact that I am able to do it better than most people. The fact that my work is of greater value than the work of my neighbors, and that more men are willing to pay me. I refuse to apologize for my ability. I refuse to apologize for my success. I refuse to apologize for my money. If this is evil, make the most of it. If this is what the public finds harmful to its interest, let the public destroy me. This is my code, and I will accept no other. I could say to you that I have done more good for my fellow man than you can ever hope to accomplish, but I will not say it, because I do not seek the good of others as a sanction of my right to exist, nor do I recognize the good of others as a justification for their seizure of my property or their destruction of my life. I will not say that the good of others was the purpose of my work. My own good was my purpose, and I despise the man who surrenders his. I could say to you that you do not serve the public good, that nobody's good can ever be achieved at the price of human sacrifices, that when you violate the rights of one man, you have violated the rights of all, and a public of rightless creatures is doomed to destruction. I could say to you that you will and can achieve nothing but universal devastation, as any looter must when he runs out of victims. I could say it, but I won't. It is not your particular policy that I challenge, but your moral premise. If it were true that men could achieve their good by means of turning some men into sacrificial animals, and I were to ask to immolate myself for the sake of creatures who wanted to survive at the price of my blood, if I were asked to serve the interests of society apart from, above, and against my own, I would refuse. I would reject it as the most contemptible evil. I would fight it with every power I possess. I would fight the whole of mankind. If 1 minute were all I could last before I were murdered, I would fight in the full confidence of the justice of my battle and of a living being's right to exist. Let there be no misunderstanding about me. If it is now the belief of my fellow men who call themselves the public that their good requires victims, then I say, the public good be damned. I will have no part of it. I I would just like you all to think about what she has said in this excerpt. So, from what he's trying to say, what she's trying to say through this character, is that if good, if doing good to somebody requires, well, I want to say it in two ways. I want to explain this excerpt in two ways. One way is the way in which she is, what I believe she's trying to say, and another would be a misinterpretation of that. So, the first is that if I were to, if being good means I need to seek those who have been wronged in order to prove my goodness, then that good is of no use. Then that is as good as what Gandhi was trying to say when he talked about lawyers and doctors. And I know I didn't get into that very deeply when I spoke about Hind Swaraj, but essentially he was trying to say that the institutions of doctors and lawyers, they are they are sustained on making sure that problems in societies exist. They don't exist to eradicate those problems, but they exist to benefit from the sustenance of such problems, because if there are no problems, then they will be out of jobs. So if this is what Ayn Rand is trying to say, then yes, that kind of public good, no, that is not public good. It is nothing more than self gratification. That is nothing more than an ego boost. Hey, look, I made that man poor and then I gave that man money. But there is a second part to what she's also trying to say, which is that she's talking about a kind of well, she is talking about it in terms of a business, of in terms of a contract, that I got into a contract with another person, where both of us were at mutual advantage. That what I gave to you was, um, I did that knowing that you would give me back in a way that would benefit me. So we are at a space of mutual benefit. But imagine that kind of a business organization being transposed into a society, inside a community, which is a lot of what we see in modernity. And this is why Ayn Rand is seen as a very controversial figure in ethics and morality, because she actually does believe in that at a very personal level. So, I mean, what she's talking about in terms of a business makes sense, right? I don't think anybody has a problem with making profits off of services. But imagine taking that and transposing it into your personal relationships, where you say, um, you know, if I get into a relationship with you, this love will have to be of mutual benefit to the two of us. That once I stop receiving this thing that I deeply want, you will be of no value to me. That um, I will no longer find any value in this relationship, and I will walk away and find somebody else who will be a more suitable partner to me. Imagine that kind of transactional nature of something that should be purely organic and full of compassion and exactly, remember what Tagore was trying to say, what Gandhi was trying to say, what Panikkar was trying to say. Um, that if you are trying to build a society on trust, if you are trying to build something that is going to last, if you want lasting peace, if you want communal harmony, that can never happen based upon commandments and decrees and treaties and contracts. If you want a business, probably that's the best way to go about a business. But relationships are not business. They are not built on mutual profit. They're not built on mutual benefits. So, I mean, there's a lot more that she talks about, which is so, it hurts me to read this. So this is the moral meaning of capitalism, which essentially has now become a morality. It's not just a structure that we see in which businesses thrive, but it's a structure that we find in even our personal relationships. And there is a lot. She also talks about the meaning of sex and a couple other things. So perhaps I will talk about that if that topic comes up when I discuss Panikkar or Gandhi or Tagore. But I just really wanted to talk about this because this is exactly what I was talking about last night in Panikkar's video. Just listen to what she's saying. I could say to you that you do not serve the public good, that nobody's good can be achieved at the price of human sacrifices. That when you violate the rights of one man, you have violated the rights of all, and the public rightless creature is doomed to destruction. So she completely disagrees with the idea of self sacrifice, which is everything that is being propagated by the three philosophers that I have mentioned so far. That without giving up, you cannot receive. And she's talking about the giving and the receiving. Her perception of that is a transaction, that if I'm giving up to receive, I am looking for a victim. I'm being calculative and selfish, but that is not true. What she's saying here is calculative and selfish. And it's just this lack of self reflection and complete lack of morality. And uh, this is such a shrewd way of looking at the world. And unfortunately, this is a lot of what we see around us, and why I believe that, so many problems exist in our society. It is precisely this kind of worldview, you know. You will never find friends, you'll never find a lover, you'll never find any kind of kindness and compassion if this is how you choose to see the world. This complete erosion of the spiritual realm, complete erosion of things that lie beyond logic, lie beyond profit, lie beyond benefit, advantage, all of those. Like, I feel, I honestly, it makes me very sad that we do live in a society that's predominantly harboring thoughts and ideologies and worldviews like such. So, yep, I'll go back to Panikkar in some time, but I just wanted to share this excerpt with you all. So, see you in some time.